Hey there, so today we're going to be taking a look at Counter-Strike Global Offensive running on the TRIGKEY with the Ryzen 5 5500U and the Ace Magician AM06 Pro with the Ryzen 5 5600U. Now the Ace Magician normally has a stock TDP of 15 watts, while the TRIGKEY here has a stock TDP of 25 watts. For the sake of comparison, we are going to raise the TDP of the Ace Magician. I do need to note though that this does raise the temperatures pretty dramatically on the system, but we don't get to the point of thermal throttling. So it shouldn't affect the performance, but just keep that in mind when you're looking at the numbers. But let's jump right on in. So taking a look at the actual gameplay for CSGO here, you could actually see that the performance is pretty comparable between the two systems. There is no real drastic improvement based off of having Zen 3 over Zen 2 on here. I mean, it's the exact same iGPU. Both systems are set to the same TDP. You will see that the Ace Magician here is reaching some pretty high temperatures. For the most part, it is still well within the operational range. It's not thermal throttling or anything like that. So it really just seems like the GPU is actually the limiting factor here, which makes sense. We are running the game with all of the absolute lowest in-game graphics settings. So we are putting as much of the load as possible onto the CPUs, but for an iGPU this small, it's pretty much still holding back these CPUs here. So what this means is that if you're looking for a cheap system to get and you're looking at something for CSGO, the increase in price for a system with the 5600U is really not going to be worth it. Not unless it pretty much ends up being within $10 or $20 at most. But anything more than that, and I think that the 5500U is still just the way to go. Now, of course, we still need to wait and see when Counter-Strike 2 is actually fully out and actually ready to see what the performance is going to be like on these older systems. But at least right now, it seems like CSGO is still a very playable game here, and we are running it at the native 1080p resolution. But CSGO 2 might come with enough drastic changes that it might end up pushing this system out of relevancy in a title like this, which would be kind of a groundbreaking moment to see all of the free-to-play and popular esports titles in general start to transition towards more demanding engines and features, because hardware in general has improved, but there's still a lot of systems out there that are going to be left behind as we transition into a more demanding game future in general. It's going to be interesting to see where a system like this is going to end up stacking up a year or two from now, because at this point in a lot of workloads there doesn't really seem to be that drastic of a difference between the two. And it really all just comes down to the fact that there is no difference between the GPUs here. So because of that, they perform identically, and in most cases, you're just going to be limited by your GPU if you're doing any kind of workload that requires any kind of 3D acceleration. But really, it all just depends on your exact needs. If gaming is your most important thing, I would save the money and go with a system with a 5500U, because unless you're going to be jumping up to a system with an RDNA 2 or RDNA 3 based iGPU, you're not really going to be seeing much of an improvement any other system. Even something with a 5800H is not really going to give you a big enough improvement in this title to justify the consideration. You would really need to get something like a 6600H or its 7000 series equivalent, or a 6800H and its 7000 series equivalent.